Alright, so welcome back to another video. First qualifying session of the 2023 F1 season done, Bahrain Grand Prix qualifying. I think a lot of people were super excited for this qualifying session. It's the first one of the year, so we'll get straight into it. So Q1 they showed at the beginning of the broadcast that 22 years ago to the day, Fernando Alonso made his F1 debut at the Australian Grand Prix in 2001. So AlphaTauri go out early, and the commentators are saying that AlphaTauri and Williams, or maybe Alpine as well, are probably the cars that are most at risk of not getting out of Q1. So that was interesting. Also noting really high track evolution because it's a night track. And also, generally throughout the whole season, Q1, there's always going to be a ton of track evolution between the first run and the second run. So it's really important to get a really good time for the second run of Q1. So bad luck up for Leclerc, who started on the mediums, and then two pieces of the car basically broke off the car, and this brought out the red flag. So at this point, Tsunoda was first, Sainz was second, and De Vries was third. So red flag was about 10 minutes or so, not too long. And then when the green flag came out, Ferrari switched to soft tires. That was important. So they basically decided to get rid of, basically ignore their gamble that they had made with the mediums, and they decided to go straight to the soft tires. So after the first run of Q1, bottom five were Stroll, Sargent, Piastri, Norris, and Hulkenberg. So Stroll, it was not because he was slow, it was because he had a lap time deleted for track limits. Top five were Sainz, Russell, Leclerc, Alonso, and Verstappen. So kind of the cars that we expected to be in top five. The bottom five was about what we expected, except for Stroll. And Stroll goes out first because he knows he needs to get a clean lap on the board because the first lap was deleted. So the bottom five from Q1 were De Vries, Piastri, Magnussen, Sargent, and then Gasly was basically moved to the bottom because his lap time deleted. So Gasly will start tomorrow's race in 20th, so not a great ideal for Alpine debut. So Q2, no one was going out at the start of the session, but for the most part it was mostly just teams sitting in the garage waiting for the perfect time to go out. And of course then everyone goes out at the same time. So after the first run, the bottom five were Zhou, Stroll, Ocon, Tsunoda, and Albon. Albon then decided to go in the gap, and we'll see what happened later with that. And the top five were Verstappen, Perez, Hamilton, Russell, and Alonso. So Mercedes in the top five at this point, no Ferrari. Some big drama in the, minor drama at the in the pit lane. So Stroll basically misses the weight bridge. And if you don't know, so the weight bridge is to make sure that the cars aren't underweight when at any point during qualifying. So they do random checks where cars are randomly told to go into the weight bridge. If they miss the weight bridge, they're either I think given a really massive penalty, or they're disqualified from qualifying, or the mechanics can push them back. So basically the Aston Martin mechanics had to push Stroll several hundred meters back to the pit, to the weight bridge. And it was really close whether or not he would get a second run in Q2 because of that. So basically Albon decided to run in the gap. So basically everyone went out about 12 minutes left. Albon went, and then the rest of the cars went out after that, right at the end of the session. So Albon did one run and tried to do one run in the middle where it's empty track. However, he messes up turn 5, goes wide, it's completely off track limit, so he basically just aborts the lap and ends up with no time. So Stroll somehow makes it out, so he's very close making it out, and I'm surprised they were able to get enough fuel in the car for that. So the bottom five were Albon with no time, Tsunoda, Zhou, Bottas, and Norris. So Stroll just pips Norris to 10th there. And the top five were Leclerc, Verstappen, Russell, Hamilton, and Sainz. So Leclerc was actually in top after Q2. So Q3, great opening lap for Verstappen. He basically had a really clean, solid lap in a very good first and second sector. Sainz was very twitchy through sector 2, and he kind of had a moment where he kind of started drifting, going downhill towards turn 8. So kind of a scruffy lap for Sainz. Then after the first runs, they show Leclerc out of the car with about 2 to 3 minutes to go. So I'm not sure if it was an issue or if they're just saving tires. Hulkenberg then has his only run deleted. So several of the teams decided to only do one run in Q3 to save a set of tires for the race tomorrow. So I think both Mercedes and Alonso and Hulkenberg were all in that group. So none of them, they only got one run in, which might explain why. And so the pole time was Max Verstappen with a 1:21.708, so he improved slightly on his second run. Perez moves up from third after the initial runs, I think, goes to second ahead of Leclerc, so it's a Red Bull lockout in the front row, so pretty good start. Ferrari lockout in the second row, Leclerc third and fourth. Alonso in fifth, so I think that's kind of a little better than people were expecting. Not the hype, all the hype trains with Alonso on pole and stuff, but honestly, I think Alonso can be very happy with that fifth. Then Russell and Hamilton 6th and 7th, Stroll in 8th, so I think Stroll can be pretty happy with that. He has way less experience than any of the other drivers with these cars on this track because he missed all of testing, so honestly I think 8th, despite the fact that he's out-qualified by half a second by Alonso, I think, given the circumstances, pretty good job by Stroll. 9th, Ocon, and 10th, Hulkenberg. Great job by Hulkenberg, I think, getting that Haas in the Q3. Same with Ocon. 11th was Norris. 12th, I think Norris did the best he could. The McLaren's not great right now. Bottas and Zhou, 12th and 13th, very close. Maybe expected a Q3 from at least one of the Alfa Romeos, but surprising we didn't get that. Tsunoda, 14th, I think that's the best he could have done. Albon, 15th, didn't set a time. 16th, Sargent on his debut, I think that's pretty good. Williams think that they're the slowest or one of the slowest cars, so for Sargent to not be last or near the bottom is a really good sign. 17th was Magnussen, not great from him. 18th, Piastri, not great from him either. And same with De Vries in 19th, and then Gasly, 20th, which is basically no real time. He basically had a warm-up lap. So that's the first qualifying session of the year done. Tomorrow we get the big race. So it'll be really interesting to see how things go. I think Ferrari's race pace, I think there's still some questions. I would honestly not be surprised if either Alonso or one of the Mercs pipped both Ferraris tomorrow and got that final spot on the podium. I think based on the race pace data from yesterday, I think the Red Bulls are probably in a good shape to win the race though. Beyond that, I think it's really anyone's guess. We have very little, next to no information. The good news though is that the gaps between the fields seem to be really small, so you really have to make every single lap count. So please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and please leave your comments down below. What did you think of qualifying? Was it good? Was it kind of meh? What are your predictions for the race tomorrow? Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.